Hello, this is John Proctor, and I'm doing my presentation for ITL 516, Mathematics Integrative Design. And I'm talking about CSS and math practice standards. I wanted to demonstrate one of the routines that I do in class, and specifically the one I want to demonstrate is the use of the calendar, and then also as it relates to the calendar, the hundreds board. And behind me you can see the display of the calendar, followed by the display of the hundreds board. Now, of course, I want to use a practical example that I've used during my substitute teaching in class. And this particular calendar and this particular hundreds board were used in a kindergarten class, the one that I'm in currently. Now, of course, the purpose of using the calendar and the hundreds board is part of the morning circle and part of the morning meeting. It's part of the discussion that teachers have with the students to talk about computational fluency, and also reinforcing math models that are used during class. And it's an excellent way to begin the day by reviewing students' prior knowledge and also engaging concepts that the students have worked at in class. We can also spiral math skills that students need to master through repetition and practice, by daily repetition and practice of numbers, of operations, and with counting. The students also can understand math vocabulary words, and of course affecting precision. They're able to build their math knowledge through the use of proper math language. Students can also see how these mathematical concepts apply to daily life, whether we're talking about months of the year, days of the week, we talk about the calendar itself, or even if we talk about the weather as it relates to the day and the calendar itself. So looking specifically at the calendar, of course, we can review the months, as you can see in the upper panel, and we can even count the months. We can review the days of the week, and then we can also count the days of the week. We can also do differentiation and expansion with these two concepts by counting in Spanish. For example, we can say how many days are there in the week. We can count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we can count in Spanish, uno, dos, tres, and so on and so forth. And that's a wonderful expansion and differentiation for students. And it's also an excellent tie-in with our English language learners, which allow them to participate and expand their vocabulary by tying native language to English. We can talk about the dates, as you can see in the calendar behind me, and we can talk about what is the date today, and is the date an odd or an even number. We can also talk about more than and less than. For example, if today is the 14th, what number is more than today's number? And then what number is one less than today's number? We can even talk about how many days remain till the end of the week. If today is the 14th, how many days until Friday? We can even say how many days have passed since the beginning of the week. If today is the 14th, we have had one day since the beginning of the week. We can even talk about how many days we've been in school. And a lot of calendars, especially ones that I've worked with, in addition to using the calendar itself, have counters. We can use straws, we can use pellets, we can use any number of things. Most of them I've seen use popsicle sticks or straws to count ones, tens, and 100s to indicate how many days total we've been in school since the beginning of the year. Usually they have a pocket board similar to this one with specific indicators for ones, tens, and hundreds. And those are used with the students to get an idea of numbers and also place value. Whether it's the calendar or the numbers chart, we can practice counting backwards. For example, if we start with today the 14th, we can count backwards from 14 back to 10. Or we can count forward from 14 to 17. We can even identify numbers out of sequence. So for example, if I wanted to set up my numbers chart, I could remove certain numbers from the chart, and during the morning activity with the calendar, we can ask students which number is missing. Whether we use the calendar itself proper or the numbers chart, we can use both of them for that function. So part of this video is, of course, to reflect what specific Common Core State standards for mathematics and standards for mathematical practices use of the calendar would meet. Specifically, we can talk about providing focus. And in Teaching Outside the Box on page 25, it talks about providing focus gives time and practice provided to students so that they have opportunities to learn concepts, specifically math concepts. We can review whole numbers. We can identify numbers, build number sense and the use of symbols, numeric operations, counting, skip counting, as well as visualizing patterns from 1 to 10. What happens when we reach 9 and 10? Our number sequence begins again with 11. Also, it provides coherence. Activities activate previous knowledge. What was yesterday? What is tomorrow? What month is it? What day of the week is it? And we also engage learning progressions that students in the kindergarten class gain from pre-kindergarten and experiences at home from preschool. It also builds rigor in the essence that emphasis is placed not only on conceptual understanding of numbers, but the skills that students need to count and to utilize numeric operations, for example, sequencing and counting, or comparing numbers. And the application of mathematics via real-world examples. What day is it today? What day is it tomorrow? What month are we in? Okay. What day is more than today? And what day is one less than today? In page 28, in Teaching Outside the Box, and in the Common Core State Standards Initiative, the calendar and the 100 board support the following standards of mathematical practice. In CSS Math Practice MP2, we talk about reasoning abstractly and quantitatively. The mathematically proficient students can make sense of quantities and their relationships in problem situations. Students can consider the units involved, whether it's the days of the calendar or the numbers in the number chart, and they can talk about the relationships in different situations. Students can consider the units, attend to the meanings of quantities, and know and flexibly use different properties of operations and objects. It also applies to CSS Math Practice MP3. Specifically, we construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. As students discuss the calendar and students are counting, students can listen to each other. They can talk about whether the answer is correct or not, and also they can give reasoning as to why the answer may be correct or it may be incorrect, or they can give suggestions. They can justify their solutions to other students, and they can ask questions or propose alternate solutions. In CSS Math Practice MP6, students attend to precision. During calendar discussions, students can try to communicate precisely to each other. They can use clear definitions in discussion with others and even in their own reasoning. They can clearly discuss their reasoning and they can use proper mathematics language. And thank you for listening to my presentation today.